You could be around people that are wealthier than you, but you add value to them. One, you inspire them. One, they respect your discipline. Two, they respect the fact that you don't beg nothing. Four, they respect the fact that you consistently pursuing because you keep re-inspiring them. People that are wealthy like to be around people that aren't wealthy, but they are chasing their better version of self because you inspire them. You keep them on their toes. They see like, yo, that's the mentality they had when they first started. They want to keep that mentality so they can stay where they at. Because it's not about becoming successful. The hardest thing about becoming is maintaining. And that's what people don't understand. Maintenance is the hardest part of achieving and staying at a level. You got to be consistent. The same way you got there is the way you're going to have to stay there. It's hard to keep working hard when your belly's already full. And that's what you got to realize. That's why you'll go around people that keep inspiring you for more. They say, show me your friends and I tell you who you are. They say birds of a feather flock together. They say, show me the company you keep, and that's the company you are, is the company you keep. And a lot of us keep bad company, but we don't realize that that's the cheat code to life. Your people, your places, and your things is the ultimate requirements to you becoming greater.
Welcome to the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, starring Q the Boss.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to another episode of Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast. They call me Q the Boss. I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited today. I got my book bag on today, guys, and the reason why I got my book bag on today, because we're going to school. We're gonna learn today. You know, I think a lot of us fear learning. I think learning has become very, very ignorant in these days where we don't want to do our own research. We tend to learn everything to the point where people sound like TikTok. They sound like Instagram. They sound like Facebook because they don't learn anything. They go to YouTube education and they learn nothing but YouTubers. The problem with the world now is everyone has an opinion. And a lot of the people that have opinions don't have receipts that validate who they are. I had a guy tell me the other day, Q, you should invest in real estate. And as he was telling me about real estate, I was quiet and I was listening to him telling me what I should do in real estate. But the funny thing is he had no real estate. And the sad part is I own a couple houses, but yet and still he was telling me how to be in real estate. That's what we see now in social media. Social media has created a mentality where people can forge their receipts opposed to being successful. And that's what the problem is today. A lot of people are forging their receipts. They're not who they say they are. They have doctrines from YouTube. What is that? YouTube Academy? YouTube Academy these days. Tap that screens, guys. Let's get a lot of people involved. I'm reading comments today. But the reason why I'm talking about today, why are you afraid to learn? I got on my book bag today because I love learning. I don't know about y'all, but I love learning. And what I do is I put myself in positions where I'm never always the smartest person in the room. I like to think that I'm bright. I like to think that I'm very educated and smart. But in the same breath, I also make sure I do my research and I'm humble enough to learn more. I love information. I think something happened where adults started becoming older. They got very arrogant as they got older to the point where they stopped learning. People don't want to learn anymore. They're not humble enough to say, oh, what is that? Ask a question. I think that's the most intelligent people is the ones that ask questions, right? And that's the truth. A lot of people sit down and they're like, yo, we need to learn and we need to grow, we need to develop. But here's the issue. Why don't we care about learning anymore? We was talking earlier, Dre, when I was saying to you, me as a student, I think that's one of the greatest things that God has given me, where I love to sit down with people that know more than me, with people that actually are very informationally driven to the point where I force myself to learn. Because the one thing about anything of value a lot of times is boring. The things that are usually entertaining, when you look at life, it has two E's. One of the E's that you see that people overvalue is entertainment. The E I value is education. Most people overvalue entertainment. They love to be entertained. Let me say that again. There are two E's in life, right? Most people, they overvalue entertainment. They don't value education. So they don't educate themselves. It takes humility to be willing to learn. It takes humility to ask a question. It takes humility to say, I don't know the answer. But the thing about learning the answer is now you know the answer. But some people pose as if they already know the answer, never learning the answer because they never asked the questions they should have asked, like, what is the answer? That's the problem in the culture today. So many people are captivated by just overly acting like they're way more ahead and established than they truly are. I like to act like I don't have nothing. That's the funny thing about it. Like, anybody know me, I don't care. Like, if you know me, you know me. You don't know me, you don't know me. There's certain things I do that are aesthetically for aesthetics. But reality is I don't care. Because humbly, I'm grateful. I already felt like I won my race. I already won my mission. I've done things in my life and put my family in a position that I didn't even believe I can get into. And the only reason why I was able to do that because I was humble enough to learn. Throughout the process of educating myself, I had to really learn how to be humble. I remember years ago when people would talk about credit, I would get offended because of the fact that I didn't know. We're in a society now where people get offended because they don't know the answer. Rather than asking, they don't know the answer, so they just get mad or get offended. If you go to somebody and try to tell them something, and if you tell them that they're wrong about something, they automatically go on a defense. And that's a problem within itself. How can you learn if you're not humble enough to say you don't know? And there's nothing wrong with not knowing, because there are things you may know that I may not know, and there's things that that person may know that this person don't know, and we all supposed to learn. The most powerful thing we can do is transfer energy, but also transfer information. One hand washes the other. And that's what we stopped doing. We stopped helping each other. I'm going to tell you something. The one thing I love about teaching people finance is because of the fact that when they educate themselves financially and they go to better levels, I don't get nervous with them leaving me because I already won. And it says volumes about you when you can teach somebody else how to be greater. Because I'm going to tell you something. The one thing about life is you can't take these things with you. They say the game is supposed to be sold. I disagree with that statement. The game is supposed to be given. The game is supposed to be given. And the reason why I'm willing to give game is because of the fact that it was given to me. Everybody learned from somebody. The one thing we need to reevaluate is the fact that we don't have mentorship. Mentorship is one of the greatest things that any adult or any person can gravitate towards, because these are people that actually experience things that you haven't experienced yet, or things that you're going to experience. Because I'm going to say this to anybody that's pursuing the greatest version of self. Along your journey, you will meet stress. Along your journey, you will meet depression. Along your journey, you will meet aggravation. You will meet second guessing. You will meet all of these things. And the craziest part about this is sometimes these emotions jump you at the same goddamn time. Sometimes you'll be like, why am I stressed and depressed? Why do I have anxiety, but I'm also questioning myself at the same damn time? This is the emotions that come with becoming great. And a lot of people, they don't have the humbleness, right? To be willing to say, you know what, this is a normality. You know what's sad is when you meet somebody that becomes successful, they want everybody else to go through the hardship of becoming successful rather than showing them like, yo, go this way instead. I love giving the game. I love handing away the tools. I love transferring information. I love learning. Today I got on my backpack because today we going to school. I'm asking the question, why do we hate learning? Why do we fear it? We fear learning. Because again, I tell you, sometimes it's sometimes, you know something, they said, the emptiest barrel makes the loudest noise. There are a lot of people who are that empty barrel, but they have a lot of noise. And the reason why they're loud is because they don't know anything. So they're scared to let people see who they truly are. People hide behind themselves in order for people not to see who they truly are. It's sad that we hide behind a lot of different things to make us feel comfortable with who we truly are. But the process of becoming, you have to be comfortable with yourself. The one thing you can't do is love someone more than you can love you. You cannot love someone more than you can love yourself. One of the people asked me today, how do you feel? I said, I feel like we're in a world of people who believe that everything has to come with some level of compensation. Well, I don't subscribe to that mentality. I don't believe that everything is supposed to be compensated, because I believe that there's a higher power that will compensate you bigger than any human on earth can compensate you. Let me say that again for somebody that didn't hear that. I don't stress compensation because I believe that there's a higher power who gives compensation that any human on earth can never compensate you. Like giving you more days on earth. Like allowing you to still be able to see your mother. Allowing you to be able to still call out, see your phone ring and it says dad and you're able to answer that call. There's a lot of things that we don't see that we blessed at, but yet and still we overvalue the things that are truly blessings. Money is not a blessing, it's a tool. Let me say that again. Money is a tool. A lot of people overvalue money. That's why money don't respect them, because they know you respect money way too much. People respect money. They don't even respect money more than their time. Your time is your most valuable commodity. But you got people that's fighting about money, 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 money. I'm going to tell somebody on my live this today. I don't care. All the money in the world can't make you real. A fake person will never be real, even if you give them all the money in the world. Let me go further. All the money in the world cannot buy you happiness. I don't care what nobody's saying. The person that will say that money will buy them happiness is clearly a broke person, because money don't make you happy. Money can alleviate problems, but money also creates more problems. It creates more problems. It creates more envy. It creates more jealousy. It creates more and more and more of the negativities, because it seems like when the person that's a positive person who's receiving economics, the people attack him harder or her harder. People don't like to see you doing better than them. And it's a God honest truth. I'm sitting back right now, I have an issue with somebody that I personally care about. And money has drawn a wedge so far apart. It's so, to the point where there is no coming back between the two of us. Because the money, something I use as a tool, someone else looked at it as to give that person value. Some people feel valueless unless they have economics. With or without money, I'm still him. Let me say that again. With or without money, I'm still him. Because I know who I am. And I'm comfortable in my skin. Some people be like, oh, because this person got more money, you treat them with more respect. I don't give more respect to anybody because of more money. I treat everybody the same. I don't give a damn about your pockets, because the last time I checked, my hand ain't in it. Let me say that again. The reason why I don't care about people's pockets is because my hands is not in it. So therefore, why do I care about treating somebody with money better than someone that don't have money? Sometimes the person that hasn't reached certain levels is because they didn't see their breakthrough yet. And patiently, you'll see that that person that's working on becoming, they will eventually get there. They're going to celebrate falsified success in the meantime, because, again, we're not humble enough to learn how the energy that people are spitting on looking like they're successful, they could be becoming successful. Let me say that again. The people who are spending energy on looking like they're successful, they could be using that same energy on becoming successful. The one theory I hate the most is when people say fake it till you make it. I think fake it till you make it is the reason why most people are broke. I'm going to call it what it is. I think most people are broke because they have that fake it till you make it mentality. They don't want to learn. Why do I say fake it till you make it is wrong? Because faking it till you make it is supposed to be for an opportunity. Most people fake it till they make it, not for an opportunity, but they do it to look like they're in a position they're not. And a lot of the times, the people that they're showing off to are people that can actually help them get into positions. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I say this all the time, broke people love to show off for broke people. Rich people don't care about showing off. Their lifestyle is their lifestyle. They will have a rich person will have a complex. I'll give you a story. One of my good homeboys, very, very wealthy. One day we had a belt on, and I'm like, yo, that belt is nice. He said, there's nothing. I looked up the name of the belt. I don't keep up with labels. I'm just so those you just don't know me. I don't care about labels. I don't keep up with them because I'm flying anything I wear. Because the brands don't make me, I make the brands. Let me say that again. I don't care about brands because I'm flying anything I wear. The brands don't make me, I make the brands. Because again, you can't tell me 100% cotton t-shirt from Gucci and 100% cotton t-shirt from Hanes ain't the same shirt to me. There's the same shirt. Y'all make the labels make you valuable. But in reality, you're making the labels valuable, but you don't even see it that you're giving away your value by not understanding that we're making the labels valuable because we're the ones spending the resources on those labels. So without the resources, the labels is nothing. So I'm not going to overvalue the label more than I value myself. I don't know if somebody really heard that. Let me say that one more time. When you look at a clothing line and you care about the labels, you have to understand you're making that label valuable because of the fact that the label has no value. If you look at it, back in the days, they used to do something called what? They used to brand their cattle. And to this day, they're still branding cattle by putting labels on our backs that you work hard to pay for. And I want y'all to hear this good. Somebody hear this really well. The other day, I was talking to a young guy, right? And I said, let's just say, imagine you make $20 an hour. And let's just say, hypothetically, on $20 an hour, you spend $400. I said, $400, do the math. I said, you went out and spent $400. If you look at time and you understand time based on money, you'll respect money more. Watch this. When I said you spent that $400, he said, yeah. I said, that means you spent 20 work week hours on that damn shirt. He looked at me like, what you say? I said, let me slow it down for you a little bit. If you make $20 an hour and you just bought something for $400, you spent 20 of your work hours on an item for $400. If that ain't a level of diabolical, I don't know what it is. So when you look at people who don't respect money, you wonder why money don't respect them. Because in reality, you're throwing away the tool that you're supposed to be utilizing to be buying back your freedom. You're throwing away the tool. The number one tool we should be worrying about is finances. And why is that? Because finances is the tool that gives us our freedom. Finances is what allow us to gain back our availability to the point where we don't have to go slave at a plantation that we waste our resources at every single time. Every time you watch people go throw their money away and they got to cry about going back to the plantation and they don't do anything with the resources, ultimately crying to the day they die about staying on this damn plantation. Look at that math though. He spent 20 work hours on a damn shirt. I looked at him, I said, to me, that's crazy. Because I don't think that shirt was made for your wage. Sometimes we gotta be comfortable to say, yo, we gotta act our wage. Not just our age, but we gotta act our wage. A person can't play you when they're telling you the truth. Acting your wage don't mean nothing, because if you act your wage, eventually your wage will change. But if you don't act your wage will never change. There's nothing wrong with being at the dollar menu for a while until you get off the dollar menu. I know millionaires that still eat off the dollar menu. Because it don't matter. Because when you look at things and you start evaluating life, you start realizing purpose, not only not purpose, but you also understand the way you're giving your value away. I tell people all the time, there are people who could make way more money than me, but when you evaluate it, I still have way more money than them. It's because of how I behave with my money. I don't waste money on foolishness. The other day, me and the guy was talking. He called me. I do a lot of one-on-ones for those who don't know. He asked me, he said, Q, can I go on this date with this girl? I said, yeah, you can. He said she wanted to go to some 5-star restaurant. I said, are you prepared to spend about $500? He said, that's OD. I said, I don't think you should go out with her. I said, and being a man, you should be comfortable enough to say that that's not for you. Listen, she has a right to feel like she belongs at the 5-star restaurant. But you don't have to be the 5-star guy that's going to spend that 5-star money to waste your 5-star resources. You don't even know if you like her. Every time a man spends money on a woman and every time a woman gives a man time, we both doing something called investing. So again, if I have to pay a woman for her time, and what am I getting out of the deal? Just her time? So she's getting a dinner plus her time. I'm paying for her time. I don't think that makes sense. But to each his own. To each his own. I think we got to get back to learning. Every man gets mad when I say this statement. I think no man should get into a relationship until they got their life together. And I'm going to say that again. And the reason why I say that is because a man will date at the level he's at. If a man is insecure, he's always going to date down. He's going to date down. And most men that are insecure are men that are not financially stable. And until you get financially stable, you're going to continue to date down. And the sad part is if you attach yourself to something while you're down, when you start coming up, you're never going to see the fact. You're going to be like kind of stuck. And more than likely, that become your baby mother. Not only that become your baby mother, that become the girl that you fall madly in love with because you was in the trenches with her. And I know a lot of guys who are in relationships that they never will surpass. They can't get past certain levels because they're in bad relationships. And I do not knock women for believing that a man should be established before he even talks to her. I'm just keeping it 100 with you. I don't think nothing's wrong with that. I think the guys that think something is wrong with that is the guys that aren't established. And when I say established, I'm not talking about being no millionaire. Every man can't be no goddamn millionaire. Every man ain't gonna make 6 figures a year. When I say having your stuff together is meaning you're not dependent on nobody. You have your own. I don't care if it's your own room. I don't care if it's your own shack. I don't care if it's your own mansion. At the end of the day, it's yours. It's levels to life. Everyone is not gonna be rich. Let's establish that. Everyone is not gonna be wealthy. But here on the Don't Let That Go Over Your Head podcast, we inspire people to become the best version of themselves. Being the best Tasha, being the best Crystal, being the best Michelle, being the best Dre, being the best Lynn that you could possibly be. That's what we care about. I don't tell nobody, I don't put no financial limitations on nobody. But the one thing I do, I put limitations on you as far as you being mature enough to be grown so you can cover your own behind. Because in order to get respect in this world, you better believe that if you're grown, you better have yourself financially grown also. Grown is just not a number, it's an action. I know people who are 21 who have their life together better than people that are 41. So which one is actually grown? Grown is being able to sustain your own life. One day, the guy said to me, yo, you believe that, would you date a girl that worked at McDonald's? I said, I would date a girl that worked at McDonald's if she was comfortable with the McDonald's lifestyle, whatever that may be. I don't want to date a girl that is comfortable at McDonald's, but yet still want me to get her a Lambo. That's, to me, that's the gold digger. If I meet a girl who has her life together and she says, Q, I want to buy a house, I want to own my home, those are real requirements, I think, at that age, and she meets the criteria to help you get to those levels. It's scary when you meet people who believe that you are the level, and the only way she's going to get to a level is whatever level you get to. I don't entertain women that's like that. To me, that's diabolical. That is diabolical. I would never entertain a woman like that. And the reason being is because that's not a value. I love value. And what I mean by value is we have to educate each other. We have to elevate each other. Men and ladies and gentlemen on my podcast today, please learn how to be humble enough to learn. Get out your insecurities. I don't care if it's a male. I don't care if it's a female. I learn from anybody and everybody. I can learn from a child. And the reason why I do it is because of the fact that it takes humility. I think culturally we're not humble anymore. When you sit back and evaluate a lot of people are so uncomfortable and they're bothered when someone tells them something they don't want to hear. They get bothered. I'm going to tell you something. You got to be the extreme narcissist if you believe that everything I'm telling you or you want to hear from someone else's mouth is what you think. You're on a whole nother spectrum. Think of that spectrum where everything that a person say to you is only what you want to hear. That means you're not comfortable with being challenged. And the people that are uncomfortable with being challenged are the people that will never become the best version of self. Because in order to become the best version of self, one has to be comfortable with being challenged. The people that avoid challenge are the ones who are content, and therefore they will stay in the same stagnated positioning that they are in. Because it's one thing to becoming better, and it's another thing to becoming stagnated. A lot of people are very stagnated. And this is what we have to accept. And again, there's nothing wrong with being stagnated as long as you accept that you're stagnated. But don't be jealous of the people that's growing because you can't go into rooms with certain luggage when the room can't fit the luggage. Every room you go into success, you got to be willing to leave some of your old luggage behind. That's your ignorant ways, your laziness, your insecurities, your lying. All of those things had to get left in the last room. And when you get to this next room, you're going to have to be willing to leave more stuff in that next room that's going to allow you to get to the next level of success. Every room you go into, you're going to have to leave and shed old ways that you have. You're not going to be able to carry your ignorant ways into new rooms. I can't sit in a room with the most successful people. I'll give you a story. One time, my boy, I brought him out to dinner with me, right? And it was a Pakistani dinner. One of my good friends is Pakistani. And he invited us to an event. And when we got in the event, I told him, do me a favor. The table he put us at, everybody at that table is very wealthy. I said, so don't get over there and talk about finance. Just talk, but be more so the humble person learning because people don't know who you are until you tell them. Once you start talking, they're going to start like basically gauging you. So I told him, don't say nothing, right? He said, okay. We get in there, right? We sit at the table. Mine, I gave him this whole lecture before we got there. I said, don't talk about nothing. Be a student, learn, grow, get their relationships, build rapport. He said, bet. I leave and go in the bathroom. By the time I come back, this man at the table, I made $30,000 last month and da-da-da-da-da. The man that threw the event, we were sitting right next to his table. He just spent over $500,000 on his daughter's Sweet 16. And I looked at him like, you think he give a damn about $30,000, fam? The whole point is not about the money. Because I'm gonna tell you something, you could be around people that are wealthier than you, but you add value to them. One, you inspire them. One, they respect your discipline. Two, they respect the fact that you don't beg nothing. Four, they respect the fact that you consistently pursuing because you keep re-inspiring them. People that are wealthy like to be around people that aren't wealthy, but they are chasing their better version of self because you inspire them. You keep them on their toes. They see like, yo, that's the mentality they had when they first started. They want to keep that mentality so they can stay where they at. Because it's not about becoming successful. The hardest thing about becoming is maintaining. And that's what people don't understand. Maintenance is the hardest part of achieving and staying at a level. You got to be consistent. The same way you got there is the way you're going to have to stay there. But a lot of times it's hard to be comfortable when your belly's full. I mean, it's hard to keep working hard when your belly's already full. And that's what you got to realize. That's why you'll go around people that keep inspiring you for more. They say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. They say birds of a feather flock together. They say, show me the company you keep, and that's the company you are is the company you keep. And a lot of us keep bad company, but we don't realize that that's the cheat code to life. Your people, your places, and your things is the ultimate requirements to you becoming greater. You go around successful people, you will be successful. You go to successful environments, which is the places you go in, you'll learn how to become more successful. And the things you do that successful people are doing, like being responsible with your resources, will ultimately allow you to open up better doors. Your people, your places, your things. We avoid all three. We want to stay around the same old people that ain't about nothing, that ain't doing nothing, but you don't realize that you might be doing a little bit more than them, and it can trick you to believe that you're doing a lot. Let me say that again. You could be around somebody that you're doing a little bit more than, and therefore you start thinking you're doing a lot. And you start talking like you're the end or be all, but I'm like, you only doing a little bit more than the people you around. Because I take you around better. It's like playing a basketball in a local park. You've mastered that park, you think you're the man, or you think you're the girl. I take you to another park, you realize you're not that good. You're not that good. And the reason why we get comfortable with that is because of the fact that we like to be the big fish in a small pond because you can control that small pond. But again, you got to be willing to be this. Now you take yourself, you put yourself in that big old ocean, you realize like, yo, I'm not that big. But guess what? The learning will make you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Because I'm telling you, everybody that you see that's struggling with becoming greater is because they are struggling with their own personal issues. And usually that's insecurity, that's unwilling to learn, that's the lack of discipline. And then when you blame other coaches for poor behavior, I'm like, wait, we got to evaluate the things that we can change. I had to tell a lady the other day, we got to get out of this baby mama and baby daddy culture. That's killing our culture right there within itself. We know we have the highest statistics of mass incarceration. We have the highest statistics of a lot of different issues, but yet and still we can't get to the root of the problems. But we look at every other culture and we say, this is the problem. No, hell no. The problem is the fact that men and women don't want to work together. The guy said the other day, I said, yo, I told me, it is better for a man to be single if everything, your only value comes from what you can give. I would never want to be in a relationship like that. You don't think that's crazy that there are men, and there are women too, that are in relationships that the only time they're valued is based on what they can give? I think the highest level of currency somebody can give you is themselves. Somebody give you respect, somebody give you their heart, their trust, their loyalty. But you know we value more than that? How much money somebody got. I think that's crazy. That's how deep their pockets are. I think that's crazy. Like for me, I value more so a person's loyalty, their integrity, the morals, how much they'll be there for me. I value that more. Because I'm going to tell you something, their character, and I'm going to keep it 100 with you. When you sit back and really evaluate it, a lot of people don't realize that you ain't taking that money with you, but you will take the impact you left on the world with you. There are people right now who've been gone for years and their things still impact Earth. And their families are doing better because of them to this day. Somebody got to start the ball. The other day, me and my homeboy was talking and he had his daughter. And his daughter was standing there and I'm looking at his daughter. And he grew up real hard. And I looked at his daughter and I said to him, you know something funny? He said, what? I said, your daughter's the one. He said, what do you mean by that? I said, your daughter is the one that's going to be the black sheep that could break all the generational curse that anything your family ever had. She's the one. I said, but I'm going to tell you what's going to come with her. Anybody that's my black sheep on this live, throw your hands up right now. I'm a black sheep. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Anybody on my live right now, raise your hand if you're a black sheep. Keep it 100. And I'm going to go into about the black sheep. The black sheep are the ones that deviate from everything that is socially normal in a family and try to create something better. The black sheep is the person that holds everybody accountable. The black sheep is the person that tells everybody about themselves. That's the person that they exile. They don't like that person. They hate, well, oh, Tasha want to come around, think she know everything. Oh, Chris think he know everything. Yeah, because those people are the ones that hold everybody accountable. People don't like those people. Everybody too busy with, they put on their black glasses where they can't see out of it, and everybody don't see each other's madness. But you know what they do behind each other's back? They talk about each other's madness. But Tasha's the one that tell the truth. Chris is the one that tell the truth. Lynn is the one that tell the truth. Dre is the one that tell the truth. Those people will always be exiled. I'm one of the guys that tell the truth. People that respect me is people that want to hear truth. My life is about growth. My life is not about being stagnated and being content and complacent. Because I'm going to tell you something. I think the worst thing you can do to yourself is not live up to your potential. I think the worst thing any human could ever do to themselves is never live up to their own potential. Right? And why do I say that? It's because every time you look at life, a lot of us are overly watching other people's lenses that you can't see your life is getting worse and worse and worse and worse because you're overly watching other people. I don't watch people no more because I realize that overwatching people will make you miss your own situation. There are a lot of people that can't even see how great they truly are because they overly evaluate other people for being greater than them. You have more potential than people that you overly watch. You sitting there studying somebody on YouTube who's telling you how to be great, but they ain't got nothing. They ain't got a goddamn thing. Because you know why you know they ain't got nothing? Right? They spend so much time on looking like they got something that you can see that they ain't got nothing. They spend too much time. People that got, they don't even care about showing you. Their life is their life. Most of the people that have reached that are rich, they do a lot of complex. You know what a complex is? When you got a shoe that ain't got no label on it, but you find out it's worth like 10 grand. That's a complex. They got a belt on that worth $1,000. That's a complex, and they can lose the money because those people that are at that levels, they write it off. When you spending your money to look like you're already there, which is not a flex, it's actually a loss. Because now you're gonna go what? Spend more of your hours to look like you rich again. Never getting rich because all your money is being spent on looking like you at a level you're not. That is diabolical. That's a whole nother level of foolishness. So I ask, why don't we like learning? Why are we afraid to learn? Why? It took me years to learn like, yo, Q, nobody gonna save you. I tell you no lie, my guy used to talk about credit all the time. And I used to get so offended, and I used to say stuff to him like, I'm gonna spend cash. I ain't gotta ever worry about no credit. Not realizing that the value of credit is extremely needed in order to be successful. You need credit. You need credit. Someone said hide it in the book. They telling the truth. And when they said hide it in the book, who were they talking about? Take a wild guess. To the point where we don't read. If it ain't online, it ain't on Facebook, it's not on TikTok, we do not learn nothing. One of the most valuable things that we can learn is the stock market. A lot of people don't even want to learn that. They don't want to learn. Look at logic. We're going to use simple logic. To my people on my live right now, raise your hand if you don't have no stocks. Raise your hand, don't lie. If you have no stocks, raise your hand. Don't cap either. If you got it, power to you. If you don't, be honest. And don't be ashamed. Today is about learning.
Funny thing about the book thing, saying the stock market is in the book.
The stock market is in the book. But watch this. Everyone, I want you to understand this. Yeah, your IRA account, that's the stocks. That's a retirement fund, right? Of course. But the thing is, you should do a double. You should do a dual, though. And I'm going to be honest with you. You should do two. The one that your job is maintaining for you, and you should do one yourself. You're going to be really rich then. Because think about it. Your job, when you got your job maintaining your IRA, and I'm going to be honest with you, they're never going to give you the full returns. For instance, I'm going to give you a scenario. There's a company called NVIDIA. NVIDIA, I don't even want to say the amount of money, but I made a stupid return, right? Imagine if a company had my money and they put it into NVIDIA. They're not going to give me the returns that I could have did. Everyone should have a self-managed portfolio. Everybody should be managing a portfolio themselves also. Your job is amazing. That's the safety. That's your guarantee. But you should be also doing it yourself. So therefore, you actually can get the actual returns. For instance, Tesla, Google, Apple, Amazon, you're getting 100% of the returns when you manage it yourself. So if Tesla did 100% return this year, the company that you got your IRA in, they ain't gonna give you no 100% return this year. You think that if you got $100,000 in Tesla, they're gonna give you a $100,000 return on it in 1 year? Yeah, right. They probably give you 8 to 10%. So if they made 100,000, they probably give you 8 to 10,000. Meanwhile, they make 90 more thousand on your money. They made 90,000 more dollars on your money, and they're gonna give you the crumbs of it. Yes, and that's the issue with investing in these companies, right? But again, when you have these conversations, again, when you're not willing to learn more, you can't educate yourself. And a lot of times, simple logic is people know that Apple, Tesla, Google, Amazon, these companies are going to go up in value over time. Would you agree? Everyone use them. And with the AI, it's only getting worse. Meta is another one. But watch this logic. The only issue with black culture, and I'm going to keep it a stack, and most people in the world, I'm going to keep it on with you, they lack patience. Money is a patience thing. I don't know who taught everybody this drug dealer mentality where you put $1 in, it's supposed to turn on $100,000. I don't know who taught that. Instant gratification mentality. That's the reason why people fail. Because they believe that they're supposed to get rich overnight. There is no such thing. Anybody that can promise you getting rich overnight, they promise you they're going to rob you. They just told you they're going to rob you. Are they doing something illegal as hell? It takes time. It takes patience. The one thing every person on my live, and I want y'all to be honest, raise your hand if you don't know what compound interest is. If you don't know what compound interest is, raise your hand. Be honest. Be honest. Today, class is in session. We learning today. This is why I got on my backpack today. Because I'm in class today, and I love going to school. I love learning. And I love you for a day for telling the truth. I don't. Compound interest is the #1 tool that you need to learn money. I'll break it down, simple logic. Let's just say I put $100,000 in, and I'm only using numbers that can be easily understood. If I put $100,000 in stocks, right, the average portfolio do anywhere from 8 to 10% a year. So that means if I'm compounding my money, $100,000 will make me $110 the following year. I'll make $10,000 on my $100,000 doing nothing in a year. That is almost $1,000 a month on your money. A bank would never give you that kind of money. Banks don't care about giving them. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just financially secure and aware. Let me make sure I say that again. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm financially secure and aware. And these are the things they don't teach people because they don't want to create the level of playing field. While everyone's fighting the black-white fight, you need to fight the financial fight. It's not about the black-white. I don't care about those things. I don't care about all these nasty politics because they lie to you anyway. But what we need to care about is financial literacy. That is the problem right now in the culture. Our kids are starting at zero because of the fact that your mother and father wasn't heroes. That is diabolical. Your kids are starting at zero because your mother and father wasn't heroes. Your mother, oh, my mother, she did. Yes, she did. But at the end of the day, she forced the more materialistic behaviors on you because we make struggle look good. We make struggle look good. You'll be in the projects with the brand new J's on and everything else. But what you should be saying is to hell with them J's. I need to learn how to get myself a better life. You could be the stone turner. And we don't think like that. We think that we had to inadvertently inherit a poverty mentality because we come from a poverty mentality. You can't blame mommy and daddy for the behaviors that you still got going on. My mother didn't teach me finance, but I damn sure taught my mother finance. Let me say that again. My mother gave me life. She didn't teach me finance, but I damn sure taught my mother finance. And why is that? Because when you realize, again, the black sheep is the one that go out on a limb to learn things that ain't normal. They do the things that are abnormal to their family. And when you can sit there and say, damn, my uncle broke, my aunt broke, my cousin broke, my cousin's cousins broke, and this person's broke, and they all got on the latest clothes. And if I do the same thing, I'm going to be the what? Broke too. If you can't think that logic, then you are every bit of slow. And I ain't dissing nobody that's on the spectrum. So let's make sure we establish that. It's sad when somebody that's not, and they behave like that. It's a sad mentality that we have. And we got to learn that culturally, we're not listening and learning anything. We're fighting the wrong fight. The fight is the financial starting point that we're giving our children. The starting point, right? I'm gonna get y'all a gym. And you know what I'm gonna do? School is in session, Dave. I love you for that, Dave. You're a real one. Let me get it for Dave. Talk that talk, my guy. But I'm gonna go like this, and I'm gonna tell y'all something. I have a daughter, and I didn't do birthdays. I didn't do Christmases. I didn't do all of these luxury holidays that I think because you didn't have it as a child, you tend to want to give it because you didn't have these things. I don't feel insecure about the things I didn't have. I grew up in poverty, but I don't feel bad about the things that my child didn't have. I feel bad if my child don't have the life that's better than the life I started with. And that ain't no material. We talking about more comfort, no lights. My lights cut off on the regular growing up. My lights used to cut off. One of my guys is on his podcast right now. He watching. He's one of my childhood friends. Munch, you know. I struggled a lot growing up my whole life. So my goal was to make sure that I give my child the better life than I've ever had. Not the materialistic things that I wish I had. The problem is we give our children the materialistic things, but we don't give them the intellect and the tools that they need to learn how to behave with the tools so they can elevate themselves even more. Money is a tool. If you teach your child how to operate with that tool, your child will never be in poverty. But if you're not willing to learn how to use the goddamn tool, why the hell would your kid learn how to use the goddamn tool? Somebody got to learn how to use the goddamn tool, right? And this is what we're not doing. My daughter, and I'm gonna say this, I didn't do birthdays, I didn't do Christmases, I didn't do that. My youngest right now, she's knocking on about, I give or take about 60, 70K. And she's only 4 years old. She's only 4. She's 4 years old and she'll have 6 figures within the next 2 years. And it's not because her dad is a financial whiz. Her dad uses common sense. I don't need to give my kid 7 PS3s, 3 iPads. What I do need to do is give my child a stable home, consistent food, love, attention, affection, and give them the starting point that I did not get. Then you're a great parent. And everything I just said that you gave right there outside of the financial starting point is all free. Affection, attention, love, right? Being there for them, supporting them, coaching them up, right? But when you become the adult who stop learning, then your children will never go past a certain level. In most cases, our children are equivalent to where they come from. And mommy and daddy think you got to be a genius. You don't have to be no goddamn genius, but you got to still be willing to be humble enough to grow and learn more. I didn't learn these things until I got older myself. But I started humbly saying to myself, I got to learn. I got to be willing to grow. I got to reprogram my discipline. I got to get back in my bag. I got to get in my bag. Because I'm going to tell y'all something. The dopest thing that you start seeing when you start moving up in life, you start hitting numbers. And I inspire anybody on my live today. If you have never saved $1, I want you to DM me. We're going to teach you how to start saving. Because that's the only way we can change the culture. We can't change nothing worrying about the problems that already exist. But we can start worrying about our homes. We can start worrying about what we're doing with our resources. Every time people complain about these luxury brands having so much money and not giving back to our community, but yet still we the ones that give the money to our community. The other day, you know what a guy said to me? Ain't no money in the hood. He said, ain't no money in the hood. You know what I laughed and said? If ain't no money in the hood, why the Asians, the Indians, and the goddamn Chinese, why they all want to open up businesses in the hood? And they take all the resources in the hood. And you know what they do? They don't live in the hood. And I'm not dissing nobody that's Asian, Indian. I'm not dissing you. I'm just calling logic. This is what's going on. They go to the hoods, they open their businesses in the hood, and they take their money back to the nice areas where they lives. They don't live in them hoods. They don't live in them ghettos. They live in them nice areas, and their sons and daughters are getting super educated and go on and be engineers and professionals and doctors, while your children go on and be what? Social service recipients over and over and over, or jail equivalent, or what? Baby mamas and baby daddies. Because this is the culture that we didn't breaking. We got to break this mentality. Ain't nobody gonna break us. We got to be willing to break ourselves. We got to learn how to fix ourselves. Because the only person that can identify the problem is the one that's making the problem. We're the problem. I can look on my live right now and look in this goddamn camera and tell everybody I love the world. I love everybody. I don't hate nobody. It takes too much energy to hate. It takes too much energy to despise somebody. I have people I don't deal with, but I will never hate them. To all the people that look at me as an enemy, I just want you to know I love you. And I feel sorry that you lose sleep worrying about me, because I damn sure don't. Let me say that one more time. To anybody that see me as an enemy or as a villain, I want you to know I feel sorry for you, and I'm praying that you find peace in your heart. Because tonight, I'm going to sleep in my California king, very comfortable, and not worry about a goddamn thing with you. And that's the issue we need to understand. All of those people that may have hurt you in your life, you got to forgive them so you can start sleeping comfortable again. And then you remove yourself from giving them access to you again. That's all we can do. When we've been hurt, we move with a level of anger. They say energy attracts. So when you realize that the negative energy that you're pulling out is the fact that you keep attracting negative energy because you're negative. You're going to constantly keep alluring what you are. You got to work on yourself. When you wake up in the morning every day, you should be grateful. I don't care if you poor. You got a day to get it right, because somebody in the cemetery will trade places with you right now. Somebody in a whole coffin will trade their places with you right now. You could be the brokest person in America, but they're like, you know what? I got another day to get it right. I got another day to get it right. It took me a long time to realize that I am the driver of my life. I control everything and anything in my life. There is no obstacle that's big enough to stop me. There is no human in the way that's going to tell me what I can and cannot do. Unless they're God, that's the only person that can tell me what I can't do. Because I know for a fact what I want and my desires and my actions will overweigh anything that's in the way of what I'm going. They say, yo, you doing good. I said, I'm just getting started. Because I'm going to tell you something. God will never make the mission big enough for you if you don't make the mission bigger than you. Let me say that again. God will never make the mission big enough for you if you don't make the mission bigger than you. People will always ask me questions like, yo, why did you want certain things in life? And I kept it real with them. You know what I said to them? My family needed it. My family needed it. Why do you work so hard to be great? My family needed it. Why did you change your life? My family needed it. Why did you educate yourself? My family needed it. When you start making things bigger than you, you'll start seeing that God has extended mercy and grace towards you. When I'm willing to give to strangers, God still makes the platform bigger and bigger and bigger, because I do so much more. And I have got so much more love to give to the world. I don't walk around with a jealous spirit on my spirit anymore. I used to be like that. You know who I used to be the biggest jealous of? I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Anybody in my life, let me see if y'all going to keep it 100, because I'm going to keep mine 100. Have you ever been jealous in your life? Keep it 100. I ain't saying jealous now, but have you ever been jealous of anybody? I'm going to see if anybody going to tell the truth. I'm raising my hand. I'm keeping it 100. I'm going to tell what I used to be jealous of. I'm keeping it 100 with you. I'm going to see anybody going to tell the truth. Somebody say yep. Somebody say yes. Somebody say yep. Somebody say no. Okay. Allegedly, Dave. Allegedly. But I'm going to tell you what I used to be jealous of. And I'm going to keep it 100 with you. I used to be jealous. Somebody say, I don't know. I used to be jealous of people that had two parents that live in the house. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. Anybody in my life, if that's your story, let's keep it real. I used to be very jealous of people that had two parents in the house. And I used to say stuff like, you only good because you got your mother and father in the house. He says, a mother was an addict. See, and I commend you. Look at that. And you're still working on yourself. You see that? Because your mother was what she was don't mean you have to be. You know what I'm saying? You got to realize that the demon got her and took control of her, and you're not going to allow that to continue to happen. Because the one thing people don't understand about substance abuse is passed on in our genes and our genetics. A lot of people don't acknowledge that. Substance abuse can be passed on in your gene pool. You can inherit substance abuse from your great-grandfather. You can inherit from your father. You can inherit from your mother. It's an addictive personality. There are a lot of people that have that trait. So I always tell people that's why I never did drugs. Because I know I have anything I do, I'm trying to be the best at it. So I probably would have been trying to be the best drug addict in the world. That's why I would never even attempt to do drugs, right? But again, when you start, I used to be very jealous of anybody that had two parents because I used to feel like, damn, my mother wouldn't struggle if I had a dad in the house and I had more than one income in my house and da-da-da-da-da. But then I look back, right? You know what I said to myself? God gave me the mission. He gave me the ability. And he gave me the thoughts. Remember, everything in life starts as a thought. Thought starts the action. The action leads to the result. So them thoughts that I was having in my head, it was God planting them seeds in me, telling me you can do it, but are you willing to do it? I saw my family in a big home. I saw my family having a better life. I saw these things in my head. But I kept trying to make people do the job that I was meant to do. I kept trying to make people do the work that I was meant to do. I was in a class knowing all the answers, copying off other people's tests that I was smarter than. Let me say that again. I was the person in the class who was smarter than the person I was trying to copy off of. And I knew it was meant for me to do the job. And I knew I had it in me. But I kept fighting my purpose. And the one thing about a man, he will never be satisfied unless he's on his purpose. I don't care, all the women, yo, men, I'm gonna tell y'all this on my live. If you don't believe it, keep doing it. You can sleep with 1,000 women. You can hit the baddest of the baddest women. You can do this every single night, but you're never gonna be satisfied until you pursue the best version of yourself. Sex feels different when you start pursuing the best version of yourself. You stop wanting it as much. You don't even fiend for it. You start focusing on yourself so much that you don't even care about those things. You become purposeful. Everything you do, everything you put your time and energy into have to be fulfilling. When a man isn't fulfilled, he will always be the ugliest version of himself. Always. He will villainize any woman he meets. And a woman is not adding value to the man on purpose. She's never gonna be the best version of herself. We fighting the wrong fights, guys. I listen to men and women argue about the most logical, foolish conversations I've ever heard in my life. We've gotten so away from logic that we've become so impulsive with our emotions. And it doesn't even make sense. We going back to school, guys. We got to go back to the basics and get back to what man were put on earth to do. We were put on here to build, to level up, to create better families. All we doing is multiplying our seeds, but we're not raising our seeds, man. Let me say that again, men. All we're doing is multiplying our seeds, but we're not raising our seeds, man. And I'm gonna call it what it is. I watched a dude the other day. He broke his hell. You know what he did? He walked 2 miles to his daughter's school, walked her home to McDonald's, and walked to McDonald's with his daughter. And his daughter said, "This is the best day of my goddamn life." You think she cared about a goddamn a Louis Vuitton bag? You think she cared about any Gucci, Fendi? That little girl that grows up and look for those things was the one that never knew what true love was. So she valued things that have no value. That little brother that grows up right now and need 1,000 women is because he was never taught how to value things that really has the value. We fighting our own inner demons, ourselves. When you look in that mirror, ain't nobody in that mirror with you but yourself. A lot of people are scared to death to do the mirror work. The mirror work is when no one is looking and you look in that goddamn mirror and you have that ugly conversation with yourself. I need to step my game up. I'm lazy. I'm inconsistent. I know I lie to myself all the time. I know for a fact that I need to do more, but guess what? I'm going to lie on the world and blame everybody but myself. That's the mirror work. I've had those ugly conversations. And you know the sad part is? I would have never liked the person I look and see in the mirror until I started working on the person I seen in the mirror. I cannot change the world, but I could damn sure change how I view it. Let me say that again. I can't change the world, but I could damn sure change how I view it. I can change the people I allow around me. I can change the energy I entertain. I can change the relationships that I have. When people start talking about people, I'm saying, "Yo, did you see the game last night?" And they were like, "What?" I'm like, "Bro, I'm not into that, brother. I'm not into that, sister." Because 9 out of 10 times when people talk bad about people consistently, it's because that's how they genuinely feel about themselves. When you can identify if you're a gossiper, you like to talk bad about people, it's because that's how you genuinely feel about yourself. We project. And what is projecting? Projecting is when you're insecure about something in self, we have to make someone else feel it. It's like you trying to get out the heat. So guess what? You're trying to bring somebody else in the heat because you don't want to be in the heat. You ever see somebody that like to diss people a lot? If somebody diss them, they go off the reservation. They're not even comfortable out hearing about themselves, but they love talking bad about people, but they hate when somebody else says something about them. That's what they are. That's what the world is today. We got to get back to where we come from. Our origin is not hate. I got a backpack on because we in school today. You came in a little late. You missed the class. You getting a late assignment today. But I said today we going to school. Today we want to learn again. Everybody asks why I got the backpack on. I want to go to school with y'all and show you how humble I am that I'm willing to get back on that yellow cheese bus and ride that bus to go learn some more. And I do it every single day. I'm going to learn, and I'm going to learn, and I'm going to learn. And guess what? I'm going to fail, and I'm going to fail, and I'm going to fail forward every time I fail. I'm not failing backwards. I'm failing forward. Because every time I fail, I learn. And I'm going to keep learning to the day I die. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. No retreat, no surrender. Every day is up to becoming the best version of myself. They said if it's up, it's stuck. It's stuck with me becoming the best version of myself. I don't care what nobody think about me no more. I already won the race. I proved to myself that I could do things that I didn't think I could do. I'm a published author. Like, come on, I published my own book and crushed it in sales. And crushed it in sales. I created a book called The Art of Reprogramming the Mindset. I showed you how I was able to change my mindset from the left to coming right. We all have the ability, but when your purpose become bigger than you, it becomes easier to do it. Somebody got to find their why. And let me explain what the why is, right? The why is, why do you get up every day? When you find your why factor, it gives you purpose. You have to have a why. I'm asking somebody on my live right now, why do you want to be great? Why do you want to be great? I'll tell you my why. Why? I'm listening, Barry. Or Barry, why you want to be great? Why? Why? And I'm going to read some of these comments, guys. I'm listening to what somebody said. Why? What is your why factor? Someone said because it makes you feel great. I like that. Someone said to take my family out of poverty. I love that even more, right? To take my family out of poverty. Someone said my son. I love that. Someone said I want my children to not just survive, but to thrive in this life. I love that. To be the blessing to myself and my family. Love it. Because I was not supposed to be here. I love that. Because I watched the struggles of a single mother, and as a single father, it's harder. I agree both ways, brother. And I'm going to sit here and say this honestly. We got to find what our why is. The reason why I work hard to be great is because I know I got to impact lives. I know God has put me here to touch people. Growing up, I used to hate my voice. Now people tell me all the time they love my voice. I used to hate my voice. People tell me they love my voice. When people, I was scared. If someone said they're a cancer survivor, look at that. I used to be scared to talk, right? Because I was worried, right? If somebody would say something like, yo, I used to think that people, I was scared to speak up, because I'm like, yo, I don't like my voice. And they'd be like, yo, bro, we love your voice. I got out of my comfort zone. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. The beautiful thing about life is when you find your peace, you find your joy, you find your happiness. And when I say you find it, it's because no one can give you these things. You got to give yourself peace. You got to give yourself joy. You got to give yourself happiness. Right? And until we get to that point, we never gonna grow. As a culture, guys, we hurting ourselves. The fight is not us against each other, The fight is the fact that while we're not willing to work together. Let me say that again. The fight, it's not about no other culture. The real fight is why aren't we willing to work together? People tell me we suffer from post-slave traumatic syndrome, and I tell them all the time, we got to get this out the way. Because if anything, it should make us want to work together even more. It should make us want to work together more. Because the hole that we've dug ourselves in, the only way we're going to be able to dig ourselves out is together. Without unity, there is no wins. The worst team in the world could win any battle if they work hard together. And until we understand that the battle will only be won when we learn how to work together, we stop envying each other, we stop being jealous of each other, we start watching what each other's have and be grateful, because when it's your turn, it's your turn. Don't not clap when somebody else win the award, but when it's your time to win the award, you want everybody to clap. Let me say that again. Don't be the person not clapping when somebody else is winning, but when it's not your time, you want everybody to clap for you when it's your turn. I clap whether I'm winning or losing because I'm proud, because a lot of times the sad part is them same people you look at as doing well, a lot of them got very similar stories to you. A lot of them come from the same stories. A lot of them come from the same struggles. A lot of them come from the second guessing themselves and the depression and the anxiety and the trauma. But the one thing about that person that you're seeing, they why became the reasoning for them to win. And until you learn what your why is, you're going to point your fingers at everybody in the world other than yourself. Somebody need to get in that mirror today and tell themselves the truth. Somebody need to say on this live today, and I'm listening to somebody, I'm going to see somebody going to tell the truth. They need to tell themselves sorry. They need to tell themselves sorry. Somebody need to say sorry to themselves for all the things you didn't allow yourself to have that you know you deserve. For not pursuing the best version of yourself. For being inconsistent. For lying. For not being better. For not doing more. For being ungrateful. Somebody need to tell themselves sorry. And when I was able to tell myself sorry, I was able to change my life. And I respect that. Somebody said, I'm sorry. Antoine, I respect you. Just me, I respect that. Somebody just said sorry, and I love you for that. And I love you for that. Everybody that's writing that, I love you for that. And the reason why I love you, because it takes strength to be vulnerable. The people that are vulnerable are strong. We taught the opposite, that strength is not being vulnerable, that's cap. The people that are strong are the ones that are vulnerable. Vulnerability is the truest level of strength, because you allow yourself to be judged. You know how strong you got to be to do that? To stand there on a chopping block and know that people might laugh at you. Someone said, I'm deeply sorry. I love you for that. Wayne, I love you for that. Wayne Butler, I respect that. For anybody that's not comfortable yet to say it, I'll say it for you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for anybody I've hurt along my journey. I'm sorry for anybody that I didn't hurt, but also should have done things further for and faster for and been more consistent early in my days. But it took this whole story for me to learn who I am today. And now that I've gone so forward, I refuse to look back. Barry, I appreciate you. Till next time, guys. Don't let that go over your head.